Welcome to Dadtrepreneur, the podcast tailor-made for the modern man balancing personal development, business, and family. This is Dadtrepreneur.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Dadtrepreneur podcast, where we talk about all things man, even the stuff men don't want to talk about. I'm your co-host, Billy G.
What's going on, guys? I'm Jared.
And today we have a very special guest, Jared's older brother, Jordan.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah,
Thanks for
love
being
to have you, man. So we wanted to kind of talk about today about, finding your way in business, finding your way in your work life. A high source of stress for a lot of men is what they're doing. What they're doing with their work, what they're doing to make money, how they're providing for themselves, how they're providing for their families. And, I think it's safe to say that all of us here have, a pretty comfortable spot as far as that's concerned. We found a kind of a niche. We're doing it, and we're providing for our families. But a lot of people are not. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. They're working some job that they really don't even really like, and that can be a really tough place to be in as a man.
Yeah, I would agree. I think on either way you look at it, whether it's from a financial position or whether they feel stuck in something that they're not really enjoying, which is both topics that I want to dive into on the podcast anyways, but I would say it's definitely probably more so financial compared to people being stuck in something they don't want to do. But it's got to be both, I guess, for the vast majority.
Yeah. And
I think just as a man, you're kind of just inherently have this need to fulfill that, some sort of financial role for your family. It's not to say that, women aren't providing, and nowadays it's much more common for a woman to go out and
absolutely
be successful.
Yeah.
And, that's to take nothing away, but that doesn't remove that need that a man has, to go out and earn for their family,
Yeah, that's, and that's like a societal norm, right? I mean, it's since we've been civilized, men have gone out, even since cavemen, they've gone out and they've slayed
Hunters.
the animals to bring it back. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like instinctually built into us to be that way. And, and as we're in the modern age, there's so many different ways to do that now. There's so many different ways to make money. And I know at least for me, at one point in my life, it was very confusing on what path do I go down? Because it seems like there's an infinite number of paths. And I know for me, I was like, well, what if I pick the wrong one? Or what if I pick one that's not as good as another? Yeah. And it can be a real source of stress. And then, of course, that stress bleeds over into your family, into your relationships, and it causes a whole big mess.
There's no denying that it kind of starts from the system that you're brought up in, right? It goes back to school.
Yeah.
And school doesn't really show you the right path or set you up with the right tools to find the right path. And it's, we talked about this a little bit, but it's a business, right? So that's what they want you to do, is to change your major 15 times, which you can speak from personal experience. Like, how many times would you say you switched your major?
Too many to count, but you're right. It's an absolute racket. I probably changed my major 4 or 5 times at best, and I still never. I'm not done, right? I never went back. I never went back. I still never figured out my major. 36 years old, going on 37. I don't know what it is. I completely agree. But it is the system. It is the lack of guidance that starts in the school system. And I have a couple thoughts on kind of how that could be better. And I know we've discussed just amongst ourselves on our day to day on a similar, on a topic like this, and made the point that it's like there's just zero guidance, and that it would be so much easier if they just put together some sort of curriculum that fit your skill set or your interests,
And look, I know some schools across the country do that, where they at least introduce you to the idea, where they have shop class, and look, we're in South Florida, and I know none of us here got any of that.
None.
There was not even a cooking class in my school. You know what I mean? I learned math, language arts, history, these things are important, yes, but there should be at least one period a week where they're like, hey, so have you thought about what you want to do?
But even those topics, man, they are important to a certain level, but it's a very low level.
Oh,
it's nowhere near what they make it seem, calculus and geometry and this and that, only in certain fields.
You're right.
And that's how it should be. It should be stuff that applies to, like my brother's saying, to stuff that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I do feel like if they did more of that, 100%, it would be so much better all around. Or from what I hear from clients in New York, they're saying that it's like almost like a trade school, like where they, like electricians, plumbers, stuff like that. I guess they start at like a much younger age, which I think that's awesome.
I mean, look, even if there was a class where they were like, hey man, here's how you balance a checkbook. Here's how you pay your taxes. Things that like you really need to know that nobody teaches you. Hey man, here's how to use a credit card. Here's how to build your credit score. Like really important life things that like they just toss you into the wolves with. And then we talked about this before where it's like, it's almost like they want you to fail at those things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because, I think Jordan mentioned it once. It was like, if your credit score is bad, you pay higher interest rates, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a system that's almost set you up to be in this confused state and to kind of fail.
Yeah, it's back to the business. And you know what I was thinking about as you were speaking? I just think it's funny. Any other training that you go through, you're preparing for the next step, right? The real world version of what you're training for. If I've not served in the armed forces, but I'm deep into the David Goggins book right now, and I'm hearing a lot about his experience with training. And literally everything is designed to expose you to the things that you might face. Why isn't school the same?
Yeah.
They're not exposing me to the things that I might face in the real world. They're not preparing me for the vast options for careers and the challenges that I might face in doing so. They don't, there's no mock interviews or mock, applicant situations. It's just figure it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, they want you to sign a $50,000 student loan,
exactly,
and then have you go figure that.
We all
out.
We all know the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
that's
like
really what it is.
We're dancing around it. We all know
they
the
want
answer.
a government loan out of you.
Yeah, if you have a 450 credit score, you're gonna get a 24.99% interest rate. And it's like. Do you want your $900 car payment for your 1995 Corolla? Like, people pay it, man. People get in ridiculous car payments for what they're getting.
Oh yeah,
just due to their credit and lack thereof.
Yeah, absolutely. And like again, there's just that lack of guidance from really early on. I think just sets people up to become a really confused adult. And look. Our parents didn't get it either. You know what I mean? They didn't get it either. And like, if our parents don't know something and the school system doesn't teach you something, well, how the hell are you supposed to figure it out? You know what I mean?
University, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like you have to stumble. And like, look, there is like supposed to be an amount of stumbling in life. We got to hit our head a few times. But like, why are we letting people stumble over like really big
when
issues?
we know the answer?
And when we know the answer,
right?
Exactly.
It's like
exactly.
Make a book, or like Jordan said, a curriculum.
Yeah, well, maybe just food for thought. Maybe it's that way by design. Maybe it's trying to find the mice, from the men, or the men from the mice, I guess. And it's not meant to be easy. It's the same thing. Like I was thinking back to training. Like it's not meant to be easy. The design is to keep you from making it through. And I think maybe you have to learn to stand out. And maybe learn how to kind of overcome that battle. I mean, maybe situations like this where minds who have found some level of success or some way come together and able to share some information that you could pick up and inspire you to kind of find that path for yourself.
I agree with what you're saying, but we all know that that's not why they do it this way. You know what I mean? What you're saying is a valid point, but that's why the successful become the successful, is because they find a way to figure it out. You know what I mean? But so I do get what you're saying, and I agree to an extent that I guess if they made it too easy for everyone, then it would cause a big issue if you think about it. If people have perfect credit and they can't get the interest rates that they need to balance out the people that are getting 4% on their cars or 3%, whatever the rates are. Right. Rates are pretty crazy right now, but they have to have some people that are in that, the higher tiers that they're getting 1999s to balance out the other rates. Well, I think that are low.
There will always be irresponsible people, even if you give them the right education. Even if you're like, hey man, you just walk this path that I've set for you. There are people who just won't do it.
100%.
You know what I mean? So I think it naturally would balance out anyway, even if we did teach it to everybody.
It's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be that guy who's like, yeah, I just don't feel like paying it. And they're going to default. You know what I mean?
You can lead a horse to water.
Yeah, exactly, man. I see it in fitness all the time. Like my whole job is like just showing you how to get to water. That's it. I can't force you to drink it once you're there.
Yeah.
But like, that's literally my whole job. And some people will still kick back on it.
Your water tastes like shit, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's like chicken.
Sometimes I want some pizza. Like your water that you're leading me to tastes like shit. I don't like Dasani. I want Zephyr Hills. I want the better stuff. So would you say that you think that a potential fix could be just having a curriculum and, like having some sort of certain path that they take from a younger age?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some more guidance is needed. I think we're just kind of thrown to the wolves, like we said. And I think if you start to recognize people's strong suits early on and start guiding them, because I don't expect, it's hard as a young person or as a young man or woman to know what you want to be. Yeah. That's a heavy, heavy decision. To your point, Billy, you said, what if I make the wrong choice?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, I know stories of people that start down a career path, think it's their dream career and hate it and go back to zero.
Yeah.
So that is scary. That's a heavy responsibility. But if you can start recognizing people's strong suits, like, look, people are more inclined to like something that they're good at.
Yeah.
That's just human nature, and I think if you could start recognizing that early on and start guiding them and exposing them to more and more career paths that might fit within their skill set, I think there's a greater percentage or a greater chance that you will find something that you want to do and that you like to do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the ultimate, we're talking about success, and I know that everyone's first thought of success is money. That's part of it. But
It's a byproduct of success.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Best way to put it. But ultimately, success is enjoying what you do, day after day after day, and being willing to go and put that energy and effort into that role. That's what ultimately leads to success. The money will come. Because if you enjoy what you're doing and you're showing up and you're putting in that 100% effort, you're going to climb the ranks. Someone's going to recognize that, and you're going to be compensated for it. So to your point, I love what you said. Money or the financial aspect of success is just a byproduct of it.
Yeah. A thought I've always had too about the whole like college situation. I personally never spent a day in college. I didn't. When I graduated, I was like, I just want to go to work. I want to start making some money. I want to start figuring stuff out. And look, I can't speak for anybody else but myself, but like I was an idiot when I was like 17, 18 years old. Okay. And to ask me at 17 and 18 years old to like sign for this big loan,
It's true.
to make that major life decision that you're talking about, I was just too immature and young to be given that responsibility. And I think that a lot of people are, okay? And they go through with the process because they're supposed to, quote unquote, and then they fail. Like, what if college started at age 25?
I wanted to cut you off so bad.
What if college started at age 25?
What if there's a gap and you have to go into
You have to go
real
to
world
work
and
first.
get real world
Yes.
experience? It would
Yes.
be
That's good, yes.
magnificent.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be so much of a gap, but if you could get 2 years of real life experiences, whether it's in the career or just growing up a little bit before diving into
Yes.
college at the ripe age of 18,
Yes.
it should be readjusted. Even if it's like just like, I guess it's the same thing as starting at a later age. I like it.
I mean, OJT.
Yeah.
But the one that you actually do something for, not
Exactly.
just,
Come
not just
on.
in school with your friends
Yeah.
like we used to. But in between high school and college, OJT,
Yep.
something that you would be interested in, a career field that you would be interested in at some level that you
Yep.
go and get exposure to for 2 years before you go and pursue an education field.
Undeniable that would be
Of course.
So
I've thought
much better.
I've thought this for years. It's like you learn to wake up, be on time, be responsible, go to work, get your paycheck, manage your money. Because what happens too, man, is kids go to school at 18, right? They get out roughly at 22, some more. You know what I mean? Some will get out at like 26.
Yep.
And what experience in life do you really have?
Seriously.
A lot of those kids are working like at ice cream stores.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just because they have to. Mom and dad pay the way, or they have some sort of scholarship set up that pays the way. And now you're in your mid-20s and you don't know a damn thing about getting paid, balancing a checkbook, showing up to a 9 to 5, being in that mindset. Your mindset up until that point of your life has been school. You've been going to school since you were 5.
Yeah.
Right?
I like this a lot, this topic, but it circles back to what we kind of already said is if they did this, it hurts their business. Of
course.
It's undeniable,
Of
right?
course.
Because the person that does take that hiatus and goes, I want to call it a hiatus, but goes and works a real job and, kind of discovers more of who they are, what they want to do, they're less likely to change their major so many times like you did, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
I mean, and like think about just the maturity of your brain from 18 to early 20s, right? I mean, I know for me it was a massive difference. You know what I mean? I didn't even think remotely the same in my mid 20s than I did when I was 18. So it's like, not only would you gain some actual real world experience, you may actually have a brain that's mature enough to actually make that major decision for your life. We're asking kids to make this big decision. And I think it's really intimidating, man. I know for me, it was very intimidating.
Well, for the most part, college is kind of presented like, at least my idea of college was, it's not optional. Look, like that's kind of how it's presented, right? If they make it seem as if you don't go to college and you don't have a degree, you don't have a real shot. Right? They do their best to make you feel that way. We've realized, obviously, as you grow up, you realize that's nonsense,
It's
right?
definitely
Because
shifting.
you see the people around you that didn't do it and still found success or are still happy or still, have a great career. You being an example and amongst many others. So you realize eventually that it's bullshit. But I feel like at least subliminally, that's deposited in your head. And it might be from your family. It might be from society as a whole. It might be from the workforce, but ultimately I felt that pressure.
100%.
I didn't want to go to college.
I didn't either.
You're programmed.
The partying sounded great, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to college for any reason outside of I felt like I should be doing that.
Same.
But, well, what else do I do when
You're either being pressured by, like you said, society, your parents, or you're pressuring yourself thinking you have to do it for your parents, right? It's like, I feel like I owe it to them. That, I went through high school and all that stuff. I feel like I need to at least give it a shot. I would say that was why I went. I didn't go because they forced us. They definitely wanted us to go. But, in reality, if we were like, no, we don't want to go, I don't think they would have had an issue. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think they would have had an issue. I never thought about it, to be honest with you. Kind of put me on the spot here. It just, like I said, it just seemed like something that had to be done for me.
Well, I think I speak for my parents. I think they were just programmed with the idea that college equals success.
Correct.
And like maybe in the 90s,
Yes.
when we were coming up, maybe that was true. But as time has gone, the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, it is not true.
What would you say because I have some ideas of why I think it is a factor. What would you say the biggest factors are for why it is not really the case? It's only increasing, meaning the odds of being successful are only increasing without college. You know what I mean? Like you said, in the past, it was like you had to go to college, you had to get a career.
Yeah.
What would you say the main factors are for causing that shift? Because I think
it's the digital age. The digital age, I think, changed a lot. I mean, think about it, man. In the 90s, like, we didn't have the internet like we have now. Now, man, you could literally be a kid and create some sort of online business, sell some sort of product online, and make it.
Yeah.
And be rich. As long as you understand supply and demand, you could do it from the comfort of your bedroom.
You don't have to make anything. You can make a video doing nonsense.
You could sell other people's
Yeah,
products.
it's true.
You could sell other people's products. Like you see all these videos. Look, some of them are, but some of them are very accurate. Not so much it is drop shipping, but they go on Amazon. They track what's trending, and then they go on Alibaba and they get it for $3. I mean, look, some of it's bullshit, but there's no way you can't make real money if you pick the right trending product.
I think that the avenues now are just
endless, so
much more broad. Like when we were kids, man, it was like, if you want to be successful, you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, those big, an architect, like those big name jobs, the big skyrise, offices. And like now it's simply not that way. It's just not, man. The internet, I think, changed everything, and the access to information changed everything. Yeah. Like we're in a society now where like when you go to college, not only are things like being pushed on you in college that have nothing to do with your life, it's like college just becomes almost like a breeding ground for politics and things like that. It's almost like I want to go to college so I can find my people, rather than I want to go to college so I can find my career.
Yeah, I agree. In my head, I'm thinking maybe it's also due to how much the world has changed as a whole, how cost of living, right? So you have all these careers that used to be good, like you said, But the issue is they haven't really evolved with the inflation. So they're still making around the same amount of money that they used to make 10 years ago, at least some of them, you know. Again, I think a teacher is one of them. You know, you have teachers like at one point, I'm sure 40K, I'm sure they make as high as 50K. Professors I know make more. I don't know.
Of course. Yeah.
But at one point that was at least decent money. Right now, what would you say? Like,
Yeah, look, if you had a combined household income 15 years ago of 100,000,
you were
you were
solid.
doing
Set.
pretty good.
Set.
Like
Yeah.
your friends envied your family.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like someone might call you rich.
Yeah.
You know? Now,
personal
$100,000
income
as an
of-
individual
Yeah.
is not giving you the best of.
It's okay.
The best odds.
No,
It's okay.
yeah, you're not the most
Yeah.
comfortable, you
Yeah.
know, these days, and that's wild.
Would you say that that's a factor though?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know.
Absolutely.
Again, I never thought of it in that light, but it makes sense if you think about it. If they're not evolving and keeping up with inflation and adjusting their pay, it's like, who the hell would want to go do it again? And I think that's a large reason of why people don't want to be cops, firefighters, and you know, again, we discussed this. It's like, why don't people want to do that anymore?
Well, you know, I think for the public service side of it, you know, anytime that the U.S. government is signing your paycheck, you know, you're not going to be doing that great. You know what I mean? Unless you're like a high-ranking military official or something. You know, if the county government or the U.S. government is writing your checks, I mean, you'll do okay. You know, the best part about that is the benefits that come with it. That's why a lot of people do it, you know, it's for the awesome benefits. But there's, you know, also a lot of scrutiny that comes with those jobs that you were just mentioning. Police officers, they're not looked at the same like they used to. It's true. When my dad was a cop, they were looked at like heroes, you know, and now, you know, they're looked at like scumbags, you know, and it's like, I think people have just also looked for more of their niche, more of what they want to do, rather than just filing in suit of being a doctor, of being an architect, of, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was almost like there was like 10 jobs that were like, you made it jobs, you know what I mean? And like now there's like 1,000 you made it jobs, you know? So like the pool is just so much bigger to choose from.
I don't think I realized until this conversation, and this, you know, I don't want this to come off wrong, but I think how much easier it is to be successful now than what it used to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Because literally, you guys are kind of collectively have made this point. With the resources that you have available with the internet and things like that, no matter what you're into, you potentially could be successful at that. Any niche thing, anything at all, you know, you can make videos on it. You get enough subscribers, you can be rich. You can make a one-off product and you could make that product and be rich. And the difference is before, like you said, Billy, we didn't have the internet. So it was difficult. If I wanted to figure out how to manufacture something, you know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, trying to find a source for that.
Yeah, you had to know a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy. You know?
It was so challenging. Actually, I tried it. We tried it. It was difficult.
Yeah.
You know, now it's literally a search away. Or I bet you follow someone on Instagram
I could have
that
AI
can
do
help
it.
you. Yeah, you know, so it's almost easier than ever. And that's not to be condescending, you know, for the people that aren't doing it. But if anything, it should be motivating. I think
100%.
I think people need to realize how much resources are now available at your fingertips.
Look, I completely agree, first of all, but I would say that one, I think, big factor that's being missed or not really looked at in the right fashion, I guess you could say, is do you want to make money or do you want to do what you're passionate about? Like, do you want to work in the field that is your true calling and passion, as you would say, or do you just want to make money, right? Because I have a few reasons as to why I asked that. One being, maybe your passion doesn't make you a lot of money, but that doesn't mean you can't do it, right? You could do it as a side hustle. If coaching wasn't doing well for you, that doesn't mean you would give it up. It happens to be doing very well for you.
Yeah.
But you know, there's probably some people out there that want to be personal trainers. I can speak from experience, actually. I wanted to be a personal trainer. I got my license, and I didn't go how I expected it to go. It was very difficult, and I would say it's largely due to the internet not being where it was today. Also, you know, like social media was nowhere near what it was now, you know, back then. So that's a huge part of it. But the point is, like, I think there's people that give up on their passion, which then could eventually grow into something huge. They just don't see it yet. So they give up on it because it's not making them money.
Well, there are ways to turn passions into money now.
100%.
You know, so it's like just because, let's say, your passion isn't the greatest money making thing, right? That doesn't mean that it doesn't have the opportunity to be.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Eventually.
yeah, you absolutely could make it something. Like, you know, if you have the knowledge about something, why don't you teach other people who want to do
Exactly.
that? Okay, boom. There's an instant way to make
Exactly.
money at it right there. Okay, so that's just one that I came up with at the top of my head in the middle of a podcast.
So I think
You know,
I think about this all the time with you, and obviously it's because you don't want to do it, but you could do that. You could absolutely start or go a different direction with your coaching business and become a coach for people that want to be coaches.
Oh yeah, and
Because
I see people that do it.
You're proven,
Yeah.
right? So maybe you don't want to do it right now, but let's say, I don't know, 5 years down the line, you're like, look, I'm done coaching, but now I'm going to go coach other people on how to be coaches.
Yeah,
Like you absolutely could do it.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make about the social media and how it just magnifies opportunity and or internet, social media, the all-encompassing body, you know, that is. That's the point I was making. So let's use personal training as an example. 15 years ago, what's the best personal trainer make? 15 years ago.
I would say probably 50 grand.
yeah, I'd say, yeah, and that's like in person, busting your hump in the
Yes.
gym.
There's
Split
people on
hours.
Instagram making millions of dollars right now because they have millions of followers.
Just
doing the
showing
same
you how to
thing.
do like a bench
Yeah,
press,
or maybe worse. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
providing less service, right?
Yeah.
That's my point. That's
Yeah.
that's the point I was making before by saying it was easier. It's not to say that the road to success is not easy. No, it's gritty,
absolutely not.
it's dirty, it's bloody, it's sweaty, and it's sad at times,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but I think that the resources make that mission a little bit easier now if you're willing to capitalize on them.
So yeah, I mean, you know, just the basic access to information just has opened up so many avenues, you know, and there are ways to turn your passions into dollars. You know, get good at what you love, okay? Learn everything you can about it, the insides and out, and then try to find a way to make a business out of it. I mean, dude, like my mom, right? She makes these little like resin things that like you put your cup on, you know? I mean, easy. Samantha, you know, she started making bracelets. These
She started killing
these
it.
dumb little bead bracelets with like love on it, or like would write your name, Jordan. You know, write your name on it. She make like 10
was
grand
killing
a
it.
month doing
That's
that.
crazy.
Yeah, I
Killing
mean,
it.
like off to these little string and a couple beads. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
She liked doing it. You know, and like had COVID not happened and like the supply for the beads went down, like who knows? You know, and like that's what I'm saying, man. Like I sympathize with people who are struggling and who are in a place where like, I don't know what to do, right? Because I've been there. I could say we've all been there.
Yes.
But there's money out there. It's available. You just have to grab it.
You
Right?
you can only feel so bad.
Correct. There's not enough time in this life for the poor me's. Okay. So like, it's okay to maybe be stuck for a minute, you know, collect yourself, and then you got to start reaching out.
Yep.
You know, you got to start doing things. And like, everybody loves something, right? Everybody has something in their life that they genuinely enjoy doing. So why don't you figure out a way to make that into dollars?
Yeah.
You know, and like, look, man, you don't have to work a meaningless job your whole life. We've worked plenty of meaningless jobs here. I've worked so many, so many. And like, they have their place. Okay. Meaningless jobs have their place in this
Absolutely.
life. They teach you to show up on time. They teach you to, you know, to clock out at the right time. They teach you to, you know, get a paycheck, even if it ain't big, you know, to learn how to manage money. There are a time and place for that. But it comes to a point where like, you either need to like shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? Like, continue to work your job. That's fine. Stack bread, and then start figuring out like what I want to do and turn that into dollars.
Well, a huge issue in my opinion is kind of what you're saying, the victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we all feel that way at some point, but some people
course.
just stay in that rut and
That's
they
the
don't
problem.
come out of it.
That's the
And
problem.
it's always pointing the fingers at other people. Like, this is why I can't do it. This, they just rattle off reasons why it's not working for them. But
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. I agree. It's
Yeah.
like, you got to make your mind up. Either you want to be successful or do something that you're passionate about, or you don't. Don't act like you do. And then
That's the thing. And we've talked about this on other podcasts. It's perfectly okay to live just a normal, like, and when I say mediocre, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in just like a average life.
Yeah.
Dude. It's totally okay, man. If you're cool with that and that's what you want, you can find all the happiness in the world doing that. You really can. I know people who live very basic lives with not a lot of stuff, and they're very happy, okay? It's the ones who say, I want what you have, but then they're not willing to take the actions to do it that make me cringe a little bit.
Pocket watchers.
I was going to say, Jordan got excited for you saying
I was
that.
dying to say it. You pocket watchers. Yeah. They drive me nuts, man.
Yeah.
I hate that. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they discredit and they devalue your efforts.
Yeah.
You know, and when they think that they should have, look, it's the crazy analogy in which I'm known for, but it's like stolen valor. You know, it's implying that you should be able to have the title that someone has put in so much effort to have. You know, it's for me, it's just as disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, to want or to be envious, you know, with some kind of negative connotation for the sacrifice that I made to imply that I got lucky or that it was given to me. That's frustrating because
arrogant.
they don't know what you went through.
Yeah,
You know, but
definitely
I
not.
completely agree with you, and I've always been one to say that I don't look down at anybody whose ideal lifestyle is less than mine.
Absolutely
And
not.
ultimately, what frustrates me, especially amongst people I care about, friends or family, is when you don't do what you have to do to live your ideal lifestyle. It's not my ideal lifestyle I expect you, or I want, you know, that I would like to see you live. It's yours.
Yeah.
You know, so don't tell me what that is and then not go after it. You
Right.
know, and not be willing to do what it takes to get it. That frustrates me.
Yeah.
You know, I lose sleep over that shit.
It's hard.
Yeah, I get it.
Because look, we deal with that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough, you know, especially when you have a lot of what you call friends working for you. It's like you wouldn't think that would be in the picture, but sometimes it is. And that's when it hurts the most. It's like you do feel like they don't give you the credit that you deserve, you know, like because a large amount of them don't really know the full story if you think about it. A large amount of them, like the full extent of what it took to get to where we are.
The truth is, too, man, you shouldn't have to give everybody the full story.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, your story is your story. And like, look, I've run into an issue in my life where, like, you know, people are real quick to look at me sideways over a story they don't know nothing about.
Make
You know?
assumptions.
Exactly. So like, I've caught myself like explaining myself and then realizing like, I don't have to explain myself to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
You know, like, I explain myself to the people who matter. You know what I mean? But like, anybody else, you know what, man, you're going to think what you want to think. And like, I ain't going to stop you, you know, because at the end of the day, dude, that shit's like drinking poison, you know, and expect me to be sick from it. You're the only one that's going to be sick, not me.
Yeah, but we live. I mean, guys, we shouldn't be surprised by that, though. We live in a world where people live to watch other people live.
That's so true.
Literally what social
That's
media
so
is.
true, yeah.
You know, it's just, I was having this conversation a couple weeks back. I had two of my cousins were over. We were watching, I don't know, fights or something, some sort of athletic thing. I don't remember if it was a basketball game or fights, whatever. And I was telling them that I get very frustrated when my son wants to watch other kids play with toys instead of playing with toys. It drives me. I'm just like, that's just crazy. You have all these toys. You'd rather watch a kid play with toys than play with your own toys. I don't get it. And then just jokingly, I said, is that kind of what we do when we watch sports? We watch other men play sports instead of playing sports.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, is that kind of the same thing?
It is.
But it's also like this. I mean, people live to, all these people follow, these successful men have millions of followers. I bet you 99% of the people that follow them are not successful.
Yeah.
Even back to the point we made, in their own level, you know, their own vision of what success is.
Correct.
Probably have not reached it, but they just live to watch it all day, every day. You know, and it kind of comes full circle to your point about people watching and judging and putting their input. I mean, my mom, you know, sorry to say this, but she calls these people her friends, the people she follows. She's like, yeah, I got this recipe from a friend of mine. Well, a girl I follow. I'm like, you don't even know her. Be a friend of yours, you know? But that's the world we live in now. You know, we are in a big reality show.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, you know? And we're all the cast.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a solid point. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Like even like gaming. Like gaming is huge. It did more than, I think it was like movies. It was three music.
As far as an
movies.
industry, yes. Yeah.
I think
Watching people play games?
Yeah.
just gaming in general.
period. Yeah. No,
so
he's
yes,
right.
that's a factor.
Yeah, he's
did
right.
more than like three major categories
Yeah.
by itself. Like it's
Yeah.
massive. And it is sad though when you think about it. That's a large part of why kids aren't being kids. You know, like I have a huge, I'm sure you do too, a huge concern of that for Luka. And look, I was that. I was pretty heavy into gaming, like pretty heavy.
Yeah, no, definitely.
My dad, you wanted to beat my a few times, but my rule was always making sure that I did my shit. Like I worked multiple jobs. I would at least play hockey or jujitsu, or I was always doing something.
You try to at least balance your life out a little bit.
Correct. Yeah. It doesn't mean I didn't get a little crazy
Of
at
course.
times.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's a big fear of mine. I don't want Luka to go in his room for 12 hours a day streaming on a computer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern for me too, you know, and like our kids are at a point where like they ain't there yet. They're at a point where like they should be inside most of the day. Like they should we should be governing them.
Correct.
Majority of the time,
Correct.
right? But like when they get like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, like, dude, I don't know about you guys, but like I was never home at that age. Never. I was out on my bike. I was at Josh's house mainly. You know what I mean? Like I was out playing manhunt. Like
Some
I was
of
out
the best days
doing
of our
stuff.
lives.
Yeah. You didn't even know it then. You know what I mean? Like my sign to come home was when the streetlights came on and it was time to be home, you know? And like, I don't know. It's also a different world.
Agreed.
It is.
Agreed.
It is a bit of a different world. I don't know if I even trust my kid to go do something like that. And it's not because I don't trust my kid. It's because I don't trust the other people that live around here.
I get it.
You know?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I mean to cut you off. I was just thinking, I think our generation right now is in the biggest evolutionary step
Agreed.
between generations. Like, you know, you would hear from I would often think what it was like to be like my grandparents and not know what a cell phone is or like a home computer.
Yeah.
That's a pretty crazy leap. But
Sounds
I
peaceful.
think it's even more massive because ultimately, like, granted, we had new resources available to us, but it didn't really change our lifestyle. We were still out playing. We played the same games they played. Hide and seek was been around for forever. You know, we were still doing the same things. Now, those new technologies have taken hold. Now they have affected lifestyle, and it's truly changed. This is crazy to me. Like, you guys are making the point to drive down a neighborhood. And I don't know why they just open up the speed limit. It should be Autobahn here. There's no kids out. Who am I going to hit? You know what I mean?
In our neighborhood, right, you would say that it's densely populated with kids.
Oh, definitely.
If we drove around, even when it was still light out, how many kids do you think we would see in our
I
entire
can count
neighborhood?
on one hand, probably. And that might be
And you guys live in like
Stretch.
a safe, guarded neighborhood.
a family neighborhood.
Like, exactly. This is like, if there's any neighborhood you want your kid to go ride a bike in, it's this one. You know? Yeah. It's crazy.
It's sad, man. It really is sad.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy. So we're here, the majority of this conversation's kind of been around the lack of guidance and, that maybe would lead to you getting to a point where you're struggling in life to kind of find your way. What do you think it's going to be like for our kids? You think it's difficult for this generation? What are they going to do?
Why do you think I want to homeschool, man?
Is there a job for video watching?
Yeah.
Memorizing silly dances and songs? Is there a career for that? That's the best shot they have right now.
I agree completely. I think it's only going to get worse, right? So we have right now, I would say there's a massive lack of good teachers, right? It's already happening now. What do you think is going to happen by the time our kids are in high school,
right,
and college?
Well, that goes back to, their pay.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, man, like if you gave a teacher $100,000 a year, do you think they would teach better?
Yes,
I do too. I do too. You can only work a job so long where you don't feel appreciated before your effort starts to wane a little bit.
especially when you're dealing with little all day,
like middle
doing
school
TikToks.
teachers.
Oh
my God. God bless
Saints.
them.
That's a tough one.
God bless them. Yeah.
And they're
Couldn't imagine.
and they're making, if they're lucky, probably $50,000, right? Again, it's been a while since I've been
I would
educated
assume
on
that's
what
the same.
teachers
And
make.
like, look, think about middle school. That's like the most awkward period of your whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're just getting into puberty. Kids are
It's where you need the most guidance.
exactly. Like you're starting to like be attracted to the opposite sex. Like there's a lot going on in those years. You know what I mean? Like,
It's crazy. We're not breaking ground here. People have been saying this since we were in school, that teachers are underpaid, undervalued and underpaid.
Yeah.
No one's doing anything about it. And this is, look, back to conspiracy theories. I think it's all part of it's back to the foundation of the big business. Like we said, it starts, if you pay teachers more, they do a better job and kids come
Less
out
fallout.
with a better education, with more direction, with, a better path to where they want to do. They're more successful. They don't have as much debt, and they don't utilize the system as much.
What else could it be? Because we all know that the vast majority of parents, even if it was a small amount, would pay to send their kids to school, and meaning public school. If it was a small fee, you can't tell me that if you were guaranteed that your kid got better schooling, that you wouldn't pay for school. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
No brainer.
not to mention too, like, you know how much money we waste as a country on dumb stuff. Like, I'm not even going to say it on camera because we'll get censored.
Careful. Yeah.
We'll get censored. But like, how much money have we sent to other places that have nothing to do with us when we could be investing that into our future? Guess what? The other countries are doing it. Go see what a kid,
Light years ahead of us.
7 or 8 year old kid in China
Light
knows
years ahead of us.
versus ours.
Blow your mind.
They're smarter
they're
than me
sus.
now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know why? It's because they know that the future depends on that generation, you know?
It's even bigger than just education, though. It's physicality.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are strong. They're doing gym class. They're doing push-ups, pull-ups. You know, I saw this thing on social media, of course. It was what high school was like back 30 years ago here or something. It blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
The average, everyone was required to run a 7-minute mile. They had to do X amount of push-ups, X amount of pull-ups. It was nuts. I guarantee you a kid's not required to do a push-up a year in school anymore.
Oh, dude. I
you
can't even imagine
imagine?
what gym class is like.
Oh my God.
I can't even
Dude.
imagine.
Could you imagine if it was that way? How amazing it would be? Like if there were those types of, you kind of had to meet certain criteria to, go ahead.
Business, guys.
Yeah.
If you're healthy, if you're in shape and you instill that at a young age, you're not eating fast food, you're not getting sick, you don't need medication. It's back
You
to
cripple
business.
a lot
It's
of
crazy.
businesses.
Yeah.
For what I think to be, hopefully in some regards still is, but was the greatest nation in this world, who literally built success from the ground up in short time, has monetized its own people.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We're cannibalizing ourselves.
Oh yeah, you're a product. Even your intellectual property, your
wild.
information, that just not even you as a person, but like your data is a product.
They own it.
Yeah.
Whether
definitely.
you want them to or not.
Exactly. Like you know those ads you see when you scroll through Instagram or Facebook, it's because they know you, man.
Yep.
Oh,
they know
yeah.
everything about you. They know what you've looked up. They know your age, your social security number.
Isn't that,
they know all
isn't that
stuff.
freaky, man? Like if you
course
really
it
do
is.
like stop to think about it, like
It's weird.
you have zero privacy.
Yeah.
Someone somewhere is seeing this stuff, like on a data level, sometimes
Yeah.
camera level. Obviously, that's probably hackers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But something to think about. Again, like you said, this is
certainly
tinfoil
weird.
hat stuff.
No,
but
yeah, of course. There's tons of tinfoil hat stuff we could go.
we got to circle. We got to get out of this.
Someone made a point to me the other day, and it was pretty enlightening for me. I've always thought about that whole social media algorithm to be more like, I don't know, I'll say positive just for these purposes, meaning it's more so to just put products in front of you, things that you might be interested in.
Keep you on the app as long as possible.
Yeah, but you know what? Someone had made a point because there was a specific topic, which I won't bring up, that was frustrating me. And, it seemed like it was always in my face. And I didn't think about it. And they pointed out, do you realize that it's probably because it's the algorithm. It's literally, if you look through my feed, you're not going to see the same type of information that's upsetting you over and over. So I never thought of it from a negative standpoint too, that they're also pumping negativity. It's not just, promotional items. There's also negativity, whatever it is, to your point, to keep you on. They think I'm interested in it. Maybe I expressed at one point a frustration with the topic, or I had made a search, relative to the topic, and they're just going to pump it.
Oh, and you'll make a comment on the post, and you'll share the post with somebody. Look at this shit. You know what I mean? And then they'll comment on it, and then and just so you know, these apps know how long you stay on the post. They know if you sit there and read it, or if you just scroll right
That
by
piqued
it.
interest.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, he stayed on this post for 6 seconds. That means he read the caption. We're going to show him more like this. Yep. You know what I mean? So
I'm getting irritated as you're talking.
It's a perpetual thing. Yeah, it's true. It's what they do.
That really irritates me.
It is what they do.
Because I have a lot of late night spendings due to ads.
Yeah.
If I stay up past a certain, they're talented, and they have my number. They're on me pretty good, and they know what to show me past midnight. It's a bad habit.
Yeah. Now, granted, we do want you to watch these clips on Instagram. Make sure you're commenting, sharing, saving.
So to get back kind of on topic, I guess we could say, and I already know the answer for you, at least to an extent. What would you say that you're currently doing? What your passion is?
I've become passionate about what I do. This is not my passion. I mean, I don't know if it's necessary to be as specific as I will be, but my passion wasn't, factoring structured settlements or now selling life insurance, health insurance, excuse me. I wouldn't say it's a passion.
But do you enjoy helping people?
Yeah, I do.
So do you feel like maybe those two paths that you've taken genuinely help people?
Yeah, good point.
Right? So maybe in a way you are. It's just not the way you thought.
Well, that's how he became passionate about it. But it's kind of like you are answering my question, but I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what if you could do anything, money aside, what would you be doing?
Obviously, I'd be LeBron James.
You would play a sport?
I'd be an athlete. Yeah, I'd be an athlete. I couldn't, to be honest with you, I don't think, I've never had some specific passion, growing up, or I was always lost. I said that, I admitted it. I never knew what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be, a firefighter or an astronaut or a doctor or a lawyer. I had some ideas of what I thought I should be based on influence from my family or friends or whatever, but I never had any real desire for something. I knew I just wanted to be successful. I didn't know how I would do it.
So that's your current answer? You would be, if you could choose anything, it would be a professional athlete.
Yeah, I'd be an athlete. Yeah.
Money aside.
Money aside.
I was just curious because it's a interesting question.
But it's a point you made before. I think you guys both kind of collectively made the point, is you can still pursue your passion to some extent. Like why aren't you playing basketball late night? Athlete. No, not basketball, but I do jiu-jitsu. So I still am an athlete when time allows. I still get to do those things that I enjoy, and that brings me. Without that, I mean, I'm a mess. That brings me a lot of
that's what bodybuilding is for me. You know, like I work in the bodybuilding industry. I mean, I'm endoused in bodybuilding, but like I'm not a professional myself. You know what I mean? I'm working toward it, but like I still enjoy bodybuilding. Even if that never happens for me, if I never end up turning pro, if I never compete again, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I enjoy going to the gym. I like watching my body change. I like picking and plugging at different things. What happens if I do this? What if I stop doing that? What happens? Will it change my results? I enjoy like that, like
almost process. Like the science of it.
Yeah. Like I enjoy that process, And I was thinking about the question you just asked him, like, if I could do anything money aside, it's such a...
I love that question.
I do. I love that question too. I honestly think that I would be a doctor. And if I could like go back to school like right now and not have to worry about money, I would get into being a doctor. And
what type?
Probably like a hormone specialist. Okay. Because I can't tell you how many people that I deal with in coaching that get the runaround from hormone doctors or just doctors in period, and they're living miserable lives, and they don't know what to do. And sometimes the solution is as simple as changing their diet. You know what I mean? And like they've been given tons of medication that only screws them up. It really irks me, and having my own medical issues, having to go through all these doctors and like get no answers, get 5-minute visits that cost me $50 with the insurance that I pay hundreds of dollars a month for. It just annoys the shit out of me. So like if we could remove the money aspect from it, I'm talking about the whole deal, and if it was simply just about like me addressing somebody, what's your problem? Let's figure it out together. That's what I would like to do. I'd be a general doctor. I just want to figure stuff out. I like helping. I like someone coming to me and being like, these are my problems, and me going, well, let's figure it out. What does that mean? What does this mean? And kind of try to put the puzzle together, because I kind of do that with coaching.
So what's stopping you from doing that now?
I mean, dude, you're talking about 8 to 10 years going to school. You're talking about doctors have to deal with insurance companies to get paid. Like, it's just a racket. You know what I mean?
So you want to be a doctor without the problems.
Exactly. If I could be a doctor without the problems.
Because I said money, and I know that the money's not an issue. You could afford going to school.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not that. So it's that. You don't want to.
It's the headaches that come with it. Yeah. If it was just down to
those
doctor,
stupid careers and their issues.
Doctor helping patient, I would do that.
Got it.
But I think there's a good takeaway from that, though. So, we, in a sense, I'm listening to you. We kind of started off saying, like, you should pursue your passions. And then I'm listening to all of us, with the exception of you. You haven't shared yours yet, which, I'll ask you after, because I'm curious. Even being your own brother, I'm not sure that I know. So I'd like to. And then, we're giving advice to pursue your passion, but then we're all kind of admitting that we're
in it,
are not doing it.
Oh,
but I
not
think
doing
the
it. Got it.
takeaway is that we're still very happy doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So there's other ways to find. So you are doing the thing that draws you to being a doctor. You're doing it
Exactly.
just in a different
Just
fashion.
in a different way.
Exactly. You know, so I
Yes.
think that's like a really important takeaway, because look, there might be somebody who wants to be a doctor but doesn't have
The means.
the means financially,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not the intellect, you know, not the support. There's a lot of things, you know, so you might want to be something that you're not capable. Look, I can't be a basketball player because I'm not 6'6". That's just it. That's
Yeah.
the cards that, you know, that's the hand I was dealt. And you can still pursue, you know, your passion other ways. So for me, I still chase that athletic passion. It's, you know, through jiu-jitsu or through shooting or whatever it is that I do, or through, you know, sports on the weekend or whatever. I still pursue that passion. It may not be a career of mine, but even in your case, like you said, you are pursuing yours through a career, just a different one.
Yeah.
Good point.
You know?
Exactly.
So what's yours?
I have a few answers, to be honest. I would say the main thing that I would like to do is some, I don't want to say life coach, but some sort of coaching where
Sort of mentoring.
yeah, exactly. But which I
that
guess
what
is
you're
kind
doing?
of what this podcast is, right? You know, so that's what I'm trying to do. But you know, like to where you're having events and you're speaking to a bunch of people in a realm that you obviously can give advice on.
Yeah.
Mine would probably be sales, something that has to do with sales and, you know, that aspect of things. Aside from that, I would say some sort of independent professional advisor, which you know what I'm talking about. And it just, in our current space, that would kind of hinder us to an extent, you know? And so it would basically be a lawyer, an accountant, or a financial advisor to categorize to where you can act as a IPA, an independent professional advisor in our space. I would love to do that and be on the flip side. And you know, it's obviously, that's a whole nother conversation, but if I had the choice to do anything, it would be that, I'd say. Either one of those.
Okay. I think this was a really good podcast.
We're biased.
It was. Yeah. I mean, look, yeah, I think it was good. You know, I think we addressed a lot of good points, man, about like, you know, that it's kind of like okay to like, if you're young and confused, because you know,
The best time to be confused.
yeah, it's really the only time to be
Yeah.
confused. And like that, like, you know, we weren't really set up to be pushed forward. You know, you kind of have to find that drive within yourself to push forward.
Figure it out, man.
Exactly, man. And like, you know, figure out what you like in life and then do something in that realm, right? Just do something kind of in that zip code, you know, and like you're going to be doing all right.
Agreed.
You know, you can be relatively happy and like you can take it a step further and, you know, find a way to make even more money doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? So I think that if anybody is struggling out there, I think maybe it's time that you just take that next step.
Agreed. Yeah, I would
Just take
say
the next step.
Last thing I'll leave you with is take a chance, you know, especially if you're younger and you can
Take a chance.
take a chance and see what happens.
Yeah.
You might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
But,
and if you fail, like, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
So I assume that's about time to wrap up.
it is. Yep.
I agree. I'm a little biased, but I would say that's a pretty solid
It was a
podcast.
good podcast.
Wasn't so bad.
Hopefully they feel the same, right? So if you did like it and, you know, if you learned something or just enjoyed it overall, like, comment, subscribe, and, you know, follow us on Instagram, TikTok. I know we're not super active on
If you're
TikTok,
on
but we'll get
TikTok.
there.
Yeah.
And obviously just subscribe to YouTube. It helps us a ton. Leave your feedback and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Peace out. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Dadtrepreneur. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for future episodes. Stay connected with us on Instagram @Dadtrepreneur Podcast. See you next time.